the new song. Are we? Yeah. We know what it's about. I mean, we can edit this out. Obviously. Too much Kentucky in my Tennessee.
Well, it's too much, bourbon in your whiskey, right?
Yeah. Obviously, Michael Ray. We know what it's about.
Yeah, there's too much.
Me.
Too much.
Me. I'm from Kentucky.
Too much Kelly in my Ford. So
there.
Yeah.
Getting that out of the way.
That'll be my next.
I felt like it would be irresponsible of me not to talk about that right out the gate.
I know.
And then we can have an actual conversation because I am from Kentucky.
We are in Tennessee.
That's right. I do feel like, you get this pisses me off.
What's that?
As a Kentuckian, that in Tennessee, people don't consider Kentucky the South. Or maybe it shouldn't piss me off.
I've dealt with this shit my whole life because Florida. They're like, Florida in the South. I'm like, Florida's literally the furthest south you can go.
Oh my God. Believe me.
And then we're into Miami. If you would like to go further, we got little islands we call the Keys for you. Head on down.
I feel like Florida might be its own South.
The older I got, I go, oh, okay. But here's what I've always loved about Florida. Somebody just asked me this the other day because there is so many. My guitar player Eddie's from Fort Lauderdale, Miami area, and so he was introducing me to a friend of his, and they were like, we were at a show, and they're like, oh, so y'all from the same? Is it where you're from? Is it like where Eddie's from? And I'm like,
no,
not even close.
No.
Yeah, and Eddie's like, no. I go, I'm from like Eddie's from like where they're renting Lamborghinis and driving down the beach, and all that. I'm from where we learned how to drive airboats on dirt roads.
Yeah, you're from a different.
Yeah, but Florida has all these like layers. It's like Tallahassee's different. That Panhandle's different. Pensacola's different. 30A, where everybody goes from up here for vacation, which I didn't even know 30A was a place until I moved to Nashville.
I don't know what 30A is.
Yeah, well,
what is it?
It's like a beach town. Like,
oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, it was, but I didn't know. It was funny because everybody's like, 30A. I'm like, no. They're like, dude, you're from Florida. I go, homie, I'm from Eustis, Florida. We went to Daytona and New Smyrna. We rented a cheap-ass motel, crammed 15 people in it, and drank cheap beer.
See,
that was our beach house.
My memory of Fort Lauderdale, like I literally cannot believe that my parents let me do this. Like,
now as a mom, you look at your kids and go, "What the hell are y'all thinking?"
Yeah, I mean, obviously a little different time,
right? Yeah.
Although we're very close to the same age.
Yes.
We went as a junior in high school. I don't even think we wore seatbelts back then. That's like different era. And we went, and Diane Wilson from Sacred Heart Academy, all those Catholic schoolgirls. Yeah. We go down there, and we're the pasty whitest ones, right? And so we're thinking back then, we're going to get the best tan.
Right.
But of course, first day, Diane Wilson and I get so sunburned that we end up going to the emergency room.
Oh, no.
And then spent pretty much of the trip laying in bed with like wet towels on us.
Did y'all get sun poisoning?
We got sun poisoning.
I heard that's hell. I've never personally had it, but I've heard it was hell.
Like 17-year-old, and we're like crying while all of our friends are like,
all y'all went down to the beach at 17?
Yes.
Oh, your parents sent you to a Catholic school to make sure?
Yes. Well, Diane Wilson and I were fine. We're like in the hotel.
That's probably why they knew. They're like, them two end up sunburned as hell day one and no trouble at all.
Oh my God. But then, it was a while. Like, but I don't think people were getting like, I mean, obviously people were crazy, but it was like not getting roofied and.
Right. That stuff, I don't understand. Like, I mean, it's happening bad in Nashville.
Yeah.
That stuff's happening real bad. And so I always tell people when they're coming here for vacation, so I'm like, man, have a great time. Just watch. This is happening a lot. And I think it comes when the city starts growing, with good comes bad. It's just what it is, yin and yang, right? So you get some of that's happening more and more, but it's just a scary thing.
It's funny too about, I don't know if you get this, but I actually finally created a list for Nashville because being in New York on the air for so long, I do always get DM'd like, where should I go in Nashville? I go, there's no secret sauce. Like literally go to fucking Broadway.
Yeah. There's no, there's really not like hidden rooms.
No.
Yeah.
Like you cannot go wrong. Yeah. But I've created, by the way, I mean, I guess you can DM me because I have the list. But like you go to Broadway, and now especially because it has become so so polished. It's now, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It just is now polished. There's an Apple store on Broadway.
Weirdest thing to see ever was that Apple store, because when I first came to town, what was that? Wasn't the convention center right there?
Yeah.
And that was where you do CRS and all that Bridge Bar and all that stuff was there. And then we were on radio tour and come back and it's gone and there's an Apple store.
Yeah.
I was like, but
that may I'm not anti-progress or anti-selling out. I'll sell out. You want to sponsor the podcast? First episode, I'm available in many ways. Yes, sponsor this bee. But yeah, I think the Apple store floored me.
Yeah, I know things progress and that's life and that's how it should be. Human beings, we get, we progress. That's how it works. I think there's a good balance though of keeping the foundation of why you're able to progress.
Yeah.
A thing. And that's the one thing I'm worried about Nashville is it's losing that root, I'm a musician who loves the history of it. So for me, it's like, man, they're knocking down these buildings where people recorded at, where these stuff happened. And when you, as an artist who was 15 coming up here for the first time with my dad and my stepmom, I was seeing, these buildings, which I, in my mind, envision Music Row looking like Chicago, and my first time coming here, it's all these little houses and shit. And I'm like, this is it,
it's
in a way.
So true.
But they're like, yeah, but in that little cabin that looks like a great grandma's house, they wrote this. Reba recorded this. Waylon cut, all these, hey, this is the part about, why Waylon wrote, don't y'all think the Salabis done got out of hand? All these things where you can start placing visuals with it. And it's cool to write in those rooms or record in those rooms. We just recorded in the studio where Ronnie Millsap recorded all his stuff. So it's just like cool to see those places. And that's the part I think that breaks my heart is like, I know the progressive and I'm not never holding nobody back or whatever. And
it's a balance, I think.
But I feel like there's a balance where it's like, because like when you go to like Europe or you go to those places, Scotland and that type of stuff, you playing in places that were historic from the 1800s. The door frames are different because people were smaller, in that time. But that's what you go through. We little men.
We little men in their kilts.
We little drunken men. But as they progress too, they still hold that history. And that's I love going to like Deadwood, South Dakota, or those places where you're. There's so much history there, or Boston. Boston. It's like you go there and there's where the Tea Party was, all the stuff that happens. And I feel like that part of Nashville, I hope we don't lose with the progressive because, while things are going, money's coming in, people are building. It's like, it's easy for the human mind to go, dude, hell yeah, man. Shit, we're making this. You can sell this. You can do this. And who wouldn't? I'm not blaming anybody.
Well, everybody's tapping into that or they wouldn't be coming here.
Right.
Like everybody wants that. And that's the balance, right? So you want to come here because you're interested in that too.
Right. Absolutely.
So how do you, that's why people go to Vegas because they're interested in that old Sinatra, that old vibe of the Strip. Like, how do we, keep the essence of what makes a place without making it so homogenized that it sucks?
Yeah.
Like the Ernest Tubbs shop closing, the little record shop, that destroyed me.
Because that history, they built that to play after the Ryman.
Yeah.
So they could have their show, they could continue playing at the Ryman.
And now vinyls, by the way, are outselling,
anything else.
The highest
there's
sales.
No album stores.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
Yeah, but one thing that I worry about is when I first moved to town, I knew people that were living in downtown Nashville. For brand new artists, for brand new songwriters, just moved to town, scratching pennies, just trying to make it happen. You could live downtown and your rent a piece was like $500 a piece. Well, that also allows you, now you're downtown. This whole town's about networking. This whole town's about being out, being seen, especially when you're new, and you want to meet everybody. And once you get the blueprint down, it's very easy to kind of manipulate how you can run into some people. You're like, okay, that guy normally goes here. So go there. And it was a dreamer's town where you could move here with $2 to your name, meet a couple guys or girls and move into a place downtown. Now these artists, these new writers and stuff, you can't afford to live downtown as a new,
No, I'm living downtown. You know this about me. This is, by the way, a little bit of the theme of the new podcast too. Like I'm starting a new chapter in my life after the New York station flip to hip hop and kind of starting back over here, although though I've been here before. And so I moved downtown. My apartment downtown, now I've gone to a smaller place, but long story. was more expensive in Nashville than my 1-bedroom on the Upper West Side in New York City. That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I bought a pretty nice house, and it's cheaper than my mortgage is cheaper than my 1-bedroom apartment I had here for a little bit.
Stupid.
It's insane. But like I said, I understand the progress. Just the reason why people are coming here too is because of the love of country music. That's the foundation of it. You know, and I don't want to encourage or discourage. You know, there is something cool to being that 15-year-old dreamer moving, you know, man, 3 more years till I graduate, I'm going to pick a guitar up, throw it in the truck, and head to Nashville.
And what I love about it is sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
Because what I love about it is like my intern last summer when I worked for this startup app that supported musicians, like you, she didn't know nobody.
Right.
Like she was an intern from Northern Alabama U. She met me like on her first day on the job. I know Desmond Child, like prolific songwriter. He's like, hey, can you come to my studio? I want to, have you record something. I'm going to change your voice completely. So I bring this kid, like her first day on the job as my intern. She's going
kicking it with Desmond Child,
like Grammy award winning.
Some of the most iconic songs.
He wrote "Living on a Prayer."
History,
So you really, it is a town still where you connect somehow with the right people. Right.
Yeah. And you got to be here to win. You know, you got to be present to win for sure.
It is the American dream town in a way.
100%. I mean, you think about it, everybody can move here from wherever and make it happen. So it's a little thing that breaks my heart on is just being a guy that moved here, lived in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath with 5 people, driving my tour van, all that. When you start looking back, I was just telling somebody this the other night. I met one of the guys that was on American Idol. He was out, and I ran into him and a couple of his buddies. We got talking, and I said, man, the stage that you're at, there's going to be times where you're like, fuck this, and right, you're going to be, you'll have the highest of high one Friday night, the best show you've ever had, and then you'll be booked in some shithole place Saturday, and your highs here, and then all of a sudden you're like, I suck. You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I go, these are the most fun, crucial years that you're going to have. This is your building. This is your foundation, and so take in those Van Days, take in the shitty show. I go, look at those shows as a competition, right? I go, that's what happened to me. I'd play Florida and we'd sell 3,000 tickets and then play Mississippi, and maybe the bar was, there's 10 people and I have 5 people in my band, so, it's during those stages that I might, but you look back on those times when it's like, there's a cool innocence and kind of ignorance to it too, where you're like, man, okay, you're 20 years old in a van in a band traveling the world. Like, who doesn't want to? That's my buddies who athletes. They're like, bro, we wanted to be the guy traveling the van. The athletes want to be the musicians. Musicians want to know what it's like to score a touchdown. So I got those moments, man. Take them in and build on that. And just do what you can to put yourself in the right position. But it's cool to see the town growing. It's cool. I mean, it obviously helps our music. People loving country music and coming here, and while you're here, they're discovering artists. So it all helps. I just hope we don't lose too much of the.
What's been cool about being off, like kind of these last 6 months, because I left the startup app and I've just kind of been poking around and going out a lot, making bad choices.
Hey, we were good at the time. Are you right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah. It's over. You can't drudge drunk. You know what I mean? They're 2 different people.
They really are. They are. Is that I also like radio shielded me from a different side of this town. Like the subtext of the podcast too is what I call the Nashville truth. Like everybody's truth is different. And again, I'm on a different journey now. And I've just seen the town in a different way.
Yeah.
And more of the music side and more hanging out with friends. And you telling that story about coming up, like, I just was out for a walk the other night and I popped into Live Oak, which is on Des Moines.
Yeah, I love Live Oak.
Yeah, actually, if you are watching this and you're visiting town, it's like a really true venue where you see these guys truly who are finding their group writer friends.
That is probably there's a lot of, you got Whiskey Jam, you got Bus Call at Tin Roof, you got there's different places. Live Oak, they just got a real cool vibe happening now, and I think I think a lot of people realize like, oh, it's very, and we're buddies with all those guys, so like all of us go there.
Payson,
yeah, my buddy Vade,
I love it.
Vade hosts Ryan's out around there now too, and those guys, man, they're music fans.
Yeah,
so they go, and we're all boys, and they go, man, if we just create a place where everybody wants to come to, food's great,
Chicken quesadilla, I will stop in just for the. It is so good. That guy's like great.
Yeah. So those places, and that's kind of like how trying to think what that would have been like. I guess Losers and Winners was kind of that way in the beginning when I first moved to town. They were already here, but it was like, man, this is where everybody's hanging out. And then Whiskey Jam was like the first thing that popped off, where it was like, oh, here's a place where everybody comes to, and new writers can meet.
It's like new writers.
Veteran writers or writers that have some cuts, or artists or whatever it is,
Yeah, they're finding their way. So I was out on my night walk, and I was like, I'm going to pop in and see who's there. And I swear I felt like a proud mom, because last summer I met these two kids from Alabama, Drake and Justice. And Justice.
I wish my parents would think of something.
I know!
My dad's the only son.
Oh. My parents failed.
There's 5 people named Michael in this room. There's only 2 of us anyway. That's how many people are named Michael. We recorded a duet the other day, and 4 people in the room were named Michael.
Right. I had a chance in both of us had a chance. We could have renamed, like in radio. Why didn't I get a cool nickname? Kelly is like the most boring, like Kiki or something. I mean, Ford's a cool name and it's my real name, but. Like, come on! I should have been Mudflat, Curb Feeler, something.
Justice,
Gun Rap,
Justice with a Y.
Justice,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, I met these guys, Drake Lopez, and Justice. I don't know. It should be Justice Storm or something.
Yeah, probably.
But I'll never forget, because we hung out at Live Oak last year. They just moved to town. Like, they're so fun. And we were talking about songs, and my shoe broke. I'm like, Cinderella lost her. They're like, we got to write that. And then I was talking to Drake, and I said something like, you got a girlfriend? He goes, no. He goes, if I see someone healthy coming toward me, I run. He goes, I just love Toxic. I go, we got to write that song. I think it's been written. But he goes, I just love Toxic. Anyway, I walk in there. He's up on stage singing his song, like God Help My Liver or something. It was like,
Did you post about him on your story and all that?
Yes,
I did. I saw that. Yeah.
I was like, I'm so proud. And they're like killing it. They found their little writer friend group. And they're gonna do great. Yeah. So that's a great example of that. Like, absolutely. In this town, especially in the writers, it's like when I was like the guys that wrote my childhood and up were like Jeffrey, the Hitman, Jeffrey Steele, Craig Wiseman, Bob DePiero, Tony Mullins. And then you had Casey Beathard, Monty Criswell, Wendell Mobley, Neil Thrasher. I mean, list goes on of just all these massive writers. And then it went to, Peach Pickers got on their roll, but it wasn't like the Peach Pickers just started writing together, Rhett, Ben, and Dallas. They've been writing together for years. And then the town, they were doing that. They were been writing those songs for years. The town came to them. Yeah. And then, boom, they're that for a generation. And then you had, Rodney Clausen and Chris Tompkins there for a while, and it's like, and then you have the, now Hardy and them are, Ernest, and it's cool to see these waves and going, oh man. So it's just like these, I tell all these young writers or, people that ask me or whatever that are like, man, I go, man, find your crew and do your thing and look at these groups. You have those, right? And then you have the Ashley Gorleys who are he'll be here forever. I think he'll always be crushing. But you got these, these groups that came up together that, I go, man, just find your crew, put your nose to the grindstone, write as many songs as you can. And literally one day it's going to click. And, Ashley Gorley was trying to get to where he's at now, right? Mm-hmm. He started having some cuts. These writers start having cuts. And then people go, man, what else do they have? Now all of a sudden your back catalog that you wrote 4 years ago, these songs are getting cut, and it's just this cool kind of snowball thing that happens for him. But it's cool, man. I love Live Oak and those writers rounds. It's fun. You just said nose to your grindstone, and I thought of I think I was talking to you about this before we started, but like songs that you're obsessed with, and that reminded me of I know, I'm way
Merle
behind.
Haggard?
No.
Keep my nose on the grindstone, work
No.
hard every day.
I was thinking of Tyler Childers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know why I'm so obsessed with. I need to probably get into gospel Tyler because now he's sober and Mr. Gospel.
Yeah.
But he's Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember listening to him and then seeing a photo.
Yes.
That is. That is not at all what I mean, I don't know. I think everybody that has these cool voices, Stapleton comes out and he's got this big voice. So you just think every guy that has this crazy voice has a big beard and long hair, and I see this dude and I'm like, oh my God, it made me love him even more. You know what I mean? Like, I
feel like he looks like an Irish fighter.
He
looks like a scrapper. Like
he's from Kentucky, man.
He's got Appalachia vibe.
Yeah. Not only will he scrap, he knows where to put it. He knows where to bury it.
That's right. Right.
He knows where to.
I bet he's buried some. Yeah. Well,
allegedly. I don't want him to come after us.
I feel like he wouldn't.
No, he'd send somebody. He's rich enough.
He's rich enough. Yeah, he's rich enough.
He's not doing his own killing. He's
I feel like I want him to do Irish music.
Yeah, he's just got one of those voices that he's just. You were made. I said this to. Who was I? It was. Oh, I said it when we were on tour with Darius one time ago. We were hanging out. And he was just telling us all the story, and you hear like his life, and I'm like, buddy, if you tried not to become a massive rock country star, you would have still somehow became a rock. You were destined to be this. You know what I mean? Like your voice, everything, and just how some of his stories with Hootie and in his story coming into country music, how little things like played out. I'm like, buddy, you're literally doing exactly what God put you on this earth to do.
Here's how I feel about him, though. I feel like he's one of those humans that would and could be successful at anything. Like if he wanted to be a news I've done stuff with him. I've co-hosted shows with him. I'm like, you could host the night.
Have you seen like
news.
Movies he acted in?
Yes.
I'm like, bro, and also he's like this incredible golfer. I'm like,
I know golfing,
and like he's just one of those guys. When we were on tour, I learned so much. I'll never be able to speak high enough of this, and just it's like, man, if that is the definition of doing it right, and never, I was messing with when we were on tour. This was years ago. It was me, him, and Dan and Shay on the Good for a Good Time tour, and. Man, he just created such a cool family atmosphere out there that the backstage was so fun that it made the stage even more fun. And there was he didn't limit us on anything, which sometimes happens, and it was just like, we learned, me and Dana and Shay talk about that, tour. We just had so much fun, but also, Tequila had just came out for them. So it was like, they were, elevating big. It was one of my first big tours. So we were all learning from Darius in different areas. And it was just, he's just one of those guys, man. But his voice, it's like him, Tyler, these different guys were like, buddy, God didn't give you that voice for you to go do taxes. He
probably would be great at taxes. He would he'd save us all so much money. He would be
the Morgan and Morgan of taxes, just everywhere on every billboard. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Darius Rucker.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he'd laugh and you go, I trust
money.
him. Yeah,
I do. Yeah. You saved me so much money.
Yeah. Yeah. But some of his story, I was like, man.
He's low key. You know what? There are just some people who are cool. He's just also cool. Like low key, I wanted to share this story. I had this, there's a story from New York where I didn't want to exploit this. Mm-hmm. And then, because you come from a firefighter family, and so many of the listeners in New York were firefighters, and all this was going to be like quiet, and then the guys from the house were like, "No, we don't want it to be quiet because we want to honor his memory." Mm-hmm. And then I even had to convince Darius, because Darius like, "I don't want this to look like I'll do this. I want to do it, but I don't want it to be public." And then I'm like,
yeah, he didn't want to like it was him. Like,
yes,
look at me coming to,
yes,
yeah, I get that.
And that's and honestly, I didn't even want to air anything about it. Mm-hmm. Same reason. And they're like, no, we want by doing this, like I get teary just that they're like, we want to honor his memory. Yeah. It was like so cool. Anyway, the moral of the story is Darius really fought me on it because he's like, I really feel like this will look like I'm exploiting this guy's death. He was the biggest Darius fan. Anyway, that's why I loved him too, because he was like, it's really important for me that this isn't public. I'm like, I'm going to let you talk to the guys.
Yeah.
It's as important to them that it is public.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of guy he is. Anyway, it's a Darius love fest.
Yeah, I love the dude, man. I had so much fun on that tour.
He walks the walk.
Yeah, he just gets it, man.
Over and over again. So he's cool. Like, some people just find a way not to be cool. He finds a way to make everything cool.
Also,
he was born cool. He comes out of the womb. He's like,
he came out, laughed. Yeah, wrote
I'm
probably.
So good.
Yeah. Just point me to the stage. Yeah. And also like backstage, I was like, oh, Darius is on a different level. Like when you're backstage and like, I'm a huge wrestling nerd. Like
you
WWF.
are?
Yeah, I'm from Florida, baby.
Oh my God.
Tampa, Florida, the heart of it. Hulk Hogan.
I want to make fun of you, but I don't know anything about it, so I can't.
Oh, let me tell you something. WWE Network.
It's not real?
Well, no, it's real. I mean, it's there. You know, it's
art.
It's an art form. It's like going to see a Broadway show, except they're being slammed through a table.
Is it? But I mean,
it's like a grown man soap opera, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Respect.
But I've grown up in the South, especially in Florida. Like,
I don't want to get beaten up, so respect.
No, it's but so one time because of this became buddies with this guy. So I'm walking down the hallway.
What guy?
I'm about to tell you. Well, you won't know, I guess, because you didn't know. I'm setting it up for my wrestling fans here because I don't think you're gonna know. But
I'll pretend to be like, I might.
So I'm walking and I just look at a door, come back, and I'm like, so Diamond Dallas Paige is back there.
I feel like Diamond was going to be in the name.
Yeah.
All right.
Who's like another just one of the greatest.
Hold on. Say it again.
Diamond Dallas Paige.
Oh my God.
See, that's the respect you need, Dallas, right there. I said it twice. She didn't give you the respect you deserve the first time, so I've got you.
Oh my God, you're so lucky.
So, but like, and then one time, like this, we were hanging out, we were playing in South Florida. This whole like caravan comes in. This isn't a wrestler, but another like just high name. I'm like, we're watching these guys and girls get out, and they're like setting up a bar, setting up a table out of their Sprinter van. The two Mercedes Sprinter vans pull up, and I'm like, yeah, man, they're like pulled backstage, like and like they own it, you know, and got that set up, and like they've been here before. And my guitar player at the time, a still good buddy of mine, Kurt, huge Dolphins fan, comes up and his eyes are this big, and he goes, Dan Marino and his family and stuff are setting up over there, and I'm like. And then I'm talking, and Darius grew up a wrestling fan as well, and so he's good buddies with Flair, and I've hung out with Flair a few times.
I've heard of Flair.
Ric Flair, woo!
Yeah.
You know?
Woo.
Styling and profiling, jet setting, wheeling dealing.
I appreciate their accomplishments, though.
Yeah, they were like larger than life, especially in the 90s.
Yeah.
80s,
you're
90s,
so cute talking about this.
Attitude Era was the best. But yeah, we always joke, we're like, that's how you tell some guys different by the people in the people that are coming backstage that are boys with, you know, the artists. I'm like, he's on a different level. And then I think his son Jack was a kid at the time. Jack's like, he's posting stuff. He's, you know, doing some music stuff, and he's incredible at it. But Jack's a kid running around, you know, messing with everybody. And somebody said something about asking him about Tiger Woods, and he goes, "Oh, you mean Uncle Tiger?" And I go, dude, y'all are just living on a different level, man. Y'all are living on. And so like one of my buddies was, because he was, Jack, you know, you become a big family out there, you know. So Jack, we all get close to everybody, you know. And he was running around, and he would mess with one of my guys that was out there with me. So they'd have like a little, you know, banter back and forth all the time. And he said something about Tiger Woods. He goes, that's what he goes. I call him Uncle Tiger. And I was like, you just got mic dropped by, I think he was like probably 12 years old. We were out there, you know.
So was the wrestler the coolest guy you met?
Always, man. The wrestlers are always the coolest.
With Darius, who's your like most holy shit person you've like, you know,
like at a show?
Well, here's what I always say: like, you're growing up a kid, and now you're here, you're on stage, you're like, you think, holy shit, if like 10-year-old me knew I was gonna meet blank.
Yeah. That happens a lot, I feel like.
Yeah,
like,
you're at that level now.
Where like one time it was
besides me.
There's a couple
obviously.
times you or
the song you wrote, your current single you wrote about me working on it.
Too Much Kentucky in my Tennessee. I think I feel that way a lot when I hang out with like a lot of the 90s artists like Tracy and, you know, one time.
Like truly?
Yeah, like it do. Like you listen to like they painted my whole child. Like I grew up watching and listening to, you know, music videos and country music. That was all we played.
Paint Me a Birmingham
And
is
so,
one of the best songs
like Tracy
ever.
Lawrence was one of my dad's favorite artists. You know, Clint Black, all these. You know, Joe Diffie was like a mentor to me, like one of my very good friends, and you know, Mark Wills, all these, and I'm leaving a lot out. You know, that we could go on and on. That I've met and hung out with or done shows with. You know, and like became buddies with one time. This is probably one of the craziest moments where Clint Black made this video, right? Or had this song, and he made the video, right? Spent hours doing his own edits, the whole thing, right? He calls me and he goes, "Hey man, I want you to see this video I made." And the song's perfect, and Clint's just like, his attention to details insane, right? So it's going to be perfect. I knew watching it, right? So he sends it to me. I call him back. I'm like, "Man, this is great. You know, it's killer." I go, "Who'd you write with?" And it was him and Steve Warner that wrote it, right? Then he goes, "Hang on 1 second." I go, "Okay." Phone goes back on. About 5 seconds later, "Hey, Steve. Hey, man, you there?" And I'm sitting there and they're talking about it, right? So I meet Steve Warner for the first time, who is one of the sweetest people in the world.
I've interviewed him before. He genuinely is. And people, that's a name that only like true country fans would know. Like he's maybe one of the greatest guitarists of all time, but whatever.
Insane. Yeah. And so they're talking, and then I meet Steve over the phone, and they kind of talk about the song, and then we all kind of start talking, and I just go, "Hey guys, listen, I'm really trying to, I gotta say something." I'm trying to be like cool, because I feel like now I'm at this level where like, okay, yeah, we're kind of peers, you know, but not, you know, in my eyes, we'll never be peers. Y'all are here, you know, but holy shit, man, like if 12-year-old Michael knew that this would happen, that I'd be, because there's a video of me as a kid. I have to say this. I said this on an interview one time, and it sounded like I still wear a diaper and sing. Yes, this is my first time saying it.
This is just a conversation.
But my family would do their band rehearsals at my grandpa's house. So there's a video of me as a little kid, like still in a diaper, just singing my heart out to Killing Time. Aww. You know, and my dad like saw Clint at the barn, and then the next year, in that year, he really blew up, and he was playing the arena in Orlando. And so my dad's like always been a big, so it was just that moment. And Steve Warner, I mean, my mom loved Steve Warner. My dad loved Steve Warner. My grandpa loved him because my grandpa was a lead guitar player, so loved his style of picking.
I remember that, right?
Chet Atkins was a big inspiration to Steve. And so it was, that was probably one of the biggest moments where I was like, what the hell's going on? I'm like in my kitchen cooking. Yeah. First off, Clint Black's name pops up, and I'm like, that's cool. Answer, talking to him, see a video. I'm like, that's really cool. He would even think to send it to me. You know what I mean? To get my opinion on it. Then he calls Steve Warner, and I'm just sitting there cooking. I'm like, what? I'm like, hang on, guys, listen, no, this is nuts. Yeah. But they're all cool. Someone asked me the other day about, the saying, "Don't meet your heroes" or whatever. And I go, man, for me, it's never been the case in country music.
And also that song you wrote about me working on it. Mm-hmm. And the girl in the video looks just like me too.
Yeah.
Exactly like me.
A blonde for you.
That's real country.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. It's like super. You got the Nick Nair.
Yeah, it reminds me of like some cool. You know, it reminds me of like. I went down to the ground canyon. You know those old.
I saw something. I just had. Her eyes told me I should proceed with caution.
My mind said, "Go ahead, make a bit on that."
I said, "Hey, pretty lady, won't you give me a sign? I give you a chance to make me."
That's why I used to think I was a cool rapper, you know.
Yeah.
Be expecting call.
Oh. I went to the trash chute in my apartment building the other day, which is like, again, I told you, it's like bougie. Mm-hmm. I will not be staying when my rent expires in December. And literally almost everybody in my apartment building, I'm in the minority. Like everybody's under 35. And I found a boombox, like old school boombox.
By the trash chute?
Yes. And it had, listen, I was like not even a cassette person.
Right.
Cassette, record to record, CD player, and radio. So I'm like,
this is Boys in the Hood type back in the day.
I'm taking this shit.
Yeah.
So I took it, and then Mother's Day weekend, I went thrifting with my two nephews. Love to thrift. So I'm like, yeah, there's this place in Louisville called Fleur de Fleet. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I'm like, let's go to Fleur de Fleet. I bought a bunch of cassettes.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got Reba. I got Randy Travis. It works.
Oh, yeah.
I got, because I thought, if I interview any of them, it would be cool to have their cassettes.
Absolutely.
And I'm so excited.
That's awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
And it's so big. When I say it's like the, I mean like.
Yeah. Jelly Roll was on Joe Rogan. And he talked about that the other day, and I'd never thought about it, but it was like, yeah, like back, like the boombox era or the Walkman era, like if you wanted music, you had to find a way to bring it. You either carried this big ass radio with you, or you had your Walkman. You know, like it wasn't as obviously as accessible as it is now.
And you know what sucks too? I dropped the cassettes, shattered the cases.
Yeah.
And they were like $7. But my nephew, he's like 18, he has one of those really cool little Toyota, it's like a dope little red Toyota truck. Mm-hmm. And he bought a bunch of cassettes too because it has a cassette player.
Does it really? Damn, what year is this truck?
I don't know. It's probably 90s, like a 90, yeah.
Because now they don't even come with CD players.
Yeah.
So no kid now knows the fear or the skill set, honestly, that you have to drive with your knees. You have a CD holder up here. You have two CD holders that were supposed to go up there, but those got filled. And then you're driving and you're turning the pages and you're just trying to find the mood. So you're trying to get, you know.
I feel like cassettes actually are more reliable than CDs. Like CDs got destroyed more easily
especially
than
if you listen to that CD all the time, it got scratched up.
Yeah, and was somebody saying that?
How much more records did people sell because I remember like Gary Allan, if my Gary Allan CD scratched, I went and bought another one.
Yeah. What? I feel like
I probably bought 100.
Nobody talks about Gary Allan anymore.
Because he's a real deal. He don't take no shit.
Yeah, nobody, like literally.
Yeah.
Like nobody.
That's why I love him.
He had such a moment in time.
Yeah.
I feel like, why doesn't anybody talk about it?
I think because of that.
Because of that?
Well, I just think he ain't trying. I mean, because if you get to know, when you meet him, he's like one of the greatest dudes. He's like one of the greatest people. And like, you know, I think he just knows his line. Like he's first off insanely talented at music, but also like has all these other, he's a jewelry line and all these different things that he's got going on. Okay. But I think, you know, he's a real deal. He never wavered. Mm-mm. If you listen to a Gary Allan record from the time, you know, you'd have Man to Man to
Watching Airplanes
to Every Storm Runs Out of Rain. Every Storm Runs Out of Rain is just a modern version of what he was doing then. He's kept his sound in the Bakersfield rock country thing that he is, and he stayed there. He never chased a fad, never chased a sound. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what I loved about him? Cellos.
Yeah.
Always used cellos.
Yeah, I remember that. Was it So You Sailed Away to the sky morning? I can't believe I can't think of. He stayed in. I can see.
So maybe don't start with I Remember.
I vaguely.
I somewhat. It's foggy.
Yeah, it's foggy.
But
he's standing on the water. He's got this like old, just badass beat up looking Fender, and he just got like the hand tattoos and stuff, and the coloring that they were using on all his videos made his videos just stand out, but especially that one. And sadly, it was about, you know, it was right after his wife
horrible.
Took her life, and so he was going through a lot, and he put that song out, and I remember seeing that and literally begged for a green 1952. I think it was a green, like real beat up looking Fender. I don't know what year it was, but Fender Telecaster. And I begged for one.
Did you get it?
Forever. I finally bought myself one later on.
You sound a little bitter.
Well, yeah. No.
I finally bought myself.
Finally just got it myself. No, I'm kidding. But I know, I remember like seeing like all his stuff. He just always stood out, and I always respected it. And now making this record that I just made, that the CP coming out, we stayed to a lot of that because of guys like him. Where I was like, you know what? No, this is what I want to do. This is, you know, you can chase stuff, you know, and especially in the world that we're in, it's always like, oh, now this. Okay, well, this got to work for that guy. But, dude, just because it worked for that guy doesn't mean it's going to work for that person.
Yeah.
It's not, you know. And also, like, what I've been through, what anybody's been through, it's all different. You know what I mean? Everybody sees life a little different. And so me and Michael Knox talked about it. I go, dude, that, you know, you listen to those Gary Allan records. First off, they're insane, great albums, full. Mm-hmm. And he stayed. He did his thing. He didn't chase bullshit. You know what I mean? He didn't jump over here and do over this and try to do his thing. He went out, and guess what? Gary Allan still headlining festivals when a lot of people back in Gary's day were getting the recognition he should have got. He's still kicking ass. You know what I mean?
That's
and
your
doing his thing.
Nashville truth.
That's my Nashville truth.
See how I brought that back around? I was telling you, like, I'm kind of obsessed with, I'm just like a teenage girl anyway. I listen to the same freaking song over and over until I wear it so out. But I honestly,
I do the same
like,
thing. I find one song that I love and I'll listen to that for a month.
Truly.
Yeah, I swear to God, I do that all the time.
I love Parker McCollum right now, Burn It Down. I love that song you wrote about me, clearly.
That's probably your first one.
Yeah.
Your favorite one.
Working on it. And
Second.
What's your like not you song that you're like you're playing over and over right now? Doesn't have to be country.
My buddy, I don't know who else they wrote with or if it was just them two, but there's two. Well, one of my favorite songs of all time is "Does He Love You" by Reba.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got the cassette.
And a
When's your birthday? When's your birthday?
April 29th.
Are you
Every
a
year.
Taurus?
Yeah.
Oh.
Is that good?
Interview over?
We grab the bull by the horns here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
See?
Yeah.
Is that a Taurus thing to say?
Yeah, that was a very Taurus thing to say.
My country ass sounds like I was saying tourist. I just realized that. Does that sound like a tourist?
Yeah, I'm a Taurus.
Is that a Taurus thing to say? I remember the first time I said, when I was doing all my liners, when I first got a record deal with Kiss You in the Morning's about to come out, and they'd stack a pack of papers in front of you in the studio, and you got to do liners for every radio station. So I do them all, and like they edit it down. I get a call like 4 days later, they're like, "Hey man, you got to come in and redo some of these." And I was like, "What happened?" They go, "Well, all of them are great, except your country ass doesn't put an L in wolf." So it was like, "Hey, this is Michael Ray. You're listening to Kiss You in the Morning on whatever, the wolf." And
I love that.
And they're like, we couldn't even pull one out. So I had to go back in and redo all the wolf ones. But now, I think now it puts something in my head. So now when I say wolf, I put too much emphasis on the L. I was like an idiot.
Now you sound like a Shakespearean.
Yeah.
On 99.5 The Wolf.
The wolf. Yeah.
Yeah, now you sound like a Shakespearean actor.
Yeah, so the tourist.
All right, well, I guess we should wrap it up. We could go on forever. Do you want to shamelessly plug something now so this does sound like an interview?
Yeah.
Like your new EP coming out June 23rd?
Bars and Broken Hearts comes out June 23rd? You mean also the fan club party we're throwing on June 8th?
Oh, yeah, at the 5 Spot. We're
going to be playing the record. There's a few tickets left, so make sure that y'all pick them up. Full band will be there. I love dive bars. It's one of that's what I came up doing it. And I feel like people, honestly, that's where we all feel the most comfortable.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to go to a bougie place. There's time for those things. You know what I mean? There's time for a nice steak dinner somewhere, right? Yeah. Do a little something, pour some wine, act like you're more sophisticated than you are.
What's your favorite steak place in Nashville?
Tim Montana's Traeger Grill, baby. Ain't nobody cook a steak better than Tim. Let's go.
I love Tim Montana.
Yeah.
Tough one.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I think Buffy and I talked about my manager. We just talked about this not long ago because, like you were saying, people hit you up. Hey man, what's there to do in Nashville? Hey, what's a good food spot? Right now, there's so many great food spots that I'm like, shit, I don't know. Like
Halls, I like Halls.
Halls.
That's in the
Oak is good. I like Oak.
I want to say I was walking by. It might be shut down.
Well, obviously y'all didn't think so.
I'm not sure.
I'm trying that. Jeff Ruby's is always a great place.
I've never been there. That would be great.
I love Jeff Ruby's is awesome.
We should go there. Buffy should take us there.
Let's go.
Oh,
date night.
Yeah. All right.
Working on it.
Date night. Too much Kentucky in his Tennessee.
You're the only 10 I see.
Oh my God.
I was talking to Chris.
It's over. Is he a 10?
Huh?
This is good. I feel like
Sunday morning coming down.
Do you think I should keep doing the podcast?
100%. Yeah, this is fun.
All right. We'll see everybody June 8th.
And then when I come back and do this, another time when you have we'll look back on this when we're at my manager's office right now, but then you'll have like a cool back. You'll have, you know what I mean? It all grows, right?
Yeah, it's our first one.
That's what I'm saying. So it's going to be great looking back. When you look at Joe Rogan, he was doing it at his house.
Oh, yeah. I would love to be the female Joe Rogan.
Yeah, the Jill Rogan.
The Jill Rogan. I love him.
This is your Nashville truth.
The Kelly Ford podcast. Michael Ray. I like that. Kelly Ford and the Nashville truth.
Yeah. See?
We're working.
Look at that. We're working on it.
This.
I got a song that will motivate you while you're working on it.
Why? What?
It's called Working on It.
Oh.
It's out now. Anywhere you get your music.
We know who that's about.
June 8th, we're going to be in Nashville throwing a party, and then June 23rd, EP, Dive Bars and Broken Hearts comes out.
I love you.
Love you too. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye.